First on film and entertainment, boy, oh boy, in terms of weather, finally it's arrived. I mean, I understand we're not talking about 40 degrees. I don't want 40 degrees. The idea of beautiful sunny skies and seeing blue above and green below, that's enough for me. My name's Alex First. I hope it's enough for you too, Greg King. Do you like sunny days? You like going for walks?
I like sunny days and warm weather, yeah.
Exactly. Now, Peter Krause, you get sunny days all the time because your walls are so thin, the sun penetrates through anything. The rest of us have brick walls, but you don't, do you?
No, I do have brick walls, but I am looking out at the sunshine at the moment, and it looks really nice.
Very nice. Now, you speak live. Most people cut toenails. You use the toenail clippers to cut grass, don't you?
Oh, look, I tell you what, I've had to mow my lawns twice a week in the past couple of weeks. There, you get the rain, you get the sun, you get the rain, you get the sun, and it just all explodes. It's beautiful.
It is beautiful, isn't it? And sorry, do you find this cathartic, mowing the lawn, or do you not?
Therapeutic, yes, it is. It is deeply. Connection with the soil and the earth is very therapeutic, yes.
There was a survey.
I've got my veggie patch going, which is great. I've got the radishes are all out. I've got my lettuces. I've got my cucumbers going. I'm going to put my tomatoes in today.
Well, now that you're talking about patches, if you can do all this for veggie patches, what do you do for bald patches? Can you solve my bald patch issue?
You just sow some seed in there, Alex. You know, maybe carrots.
Exactly. Well, I've always said, hey, anybody who can really genuinely, not these sort of hair salons and whatever that promise the earth, if anybody can effectively grow a hair on a bald head, they're going to make a lot of money, and they deserve to, as long as it can be done in a way that's healthy. And you don't.
I know. You can make a lot of money just saying that you do it. You don't have to actually do it.
Okay. So it's kind of like the American election campaign where you lie through your back teeth and people still vote for you. Yeah?
Well, we know the scams. We know.
Yeah, we do know. All right. So look, there's quite a bit that we'll try and get through today. A film that I wanted to start with is one that, in fact, I think you implored me to see it, Jaqui. So to your credit, Ghostlight. I sort of missed the media screening of it, and I know it's been out for a couple of weeks, but I wanted to start there because it's a really deeply affecting story about love and loss, and it's harrowing, it's sensitive, and it's also comedic. It's nearly 2 hours, 116 minutes, rated M, concerning the trials and tribulations of a family in small-town America. And we come to learn that this family lost their son/brother in tragic circumstances in the past year. And the father, whose name is Dan Mueller, played by Keith Kupferer, the mother, Sharon Tara Mallon, and the daughter, Daisy, Catherine Mallon Kupferer, are struggling. Now, if you think there's a connection there, absolutely is. Now, I can't think of a film where you've got 3 of the 4 stars being the real-life father, mother, and daughter playing father, mother, and daughter. I'll stop at this point. And Peter and Greg, you're particularly knowledgeable about these sorts of things. From a Trivial Pursuit point of view, Greg, can you name me any other family?
Not one.
Oh, I'm sorry, I dismissed you straight off, and I should have done so. Okay, go on.
No, you did. What about Rodriguez? What's his name?
Robert Rodriguez.
Robert Rodriguez used to do all the family stuff. His whole family was in there.
Yeah, but sorry, I'm talking about starring role.
3 stars. Oh, okay. All right, I give up. Great.
Yeah, no, I can't think of any other instance. Anybody? No?
No.
I think it's a brilliant tactical move if it works, because it could backfire really badly, but it doesn't here. And you got Daisy, the daughter, who is now 16. She's lashing out at school. She's on the point of being expelled from school, actually. She's loud. She's vulgar. The father, Dan, he's a construction worker. He's internalising everything. Bear in mind that, he's the one who lost the son. Obviously, Daisy lost the brother. The father doesn't want to talk about his feelings. He's not into that. But he's a powder keg ready to blow. And the mother, Sharon, is just trying to hold it all together so the family can somehow, the remaining family can somehow get through. But everything appears to be coming apart at the seams. And Daisy, well, she's in therapy. She's perpetually angry. And then there's an ugly incident with a motorist that the father, Dan, has, and he totally loses it. So pressure is continuing to build ahead of legal action that the family has initiated. And surprisingly, Father Dan, with a buster, going on. Anyway, surprisingly, Dan joins a local community theatre group, and that's made up of a bunch of low-rent amateurs, save for one, well, tell it as she sees it, former professional actor whose name's Rita, played by Dolly de Leon. You might remember her from A Triangle of Sadness. And Rita spent 16 years in New York and moved presumably back home to small-town America. But let's put it this way, the rest of the troupe's acting skills, apart from Rita's, are left wanting. Nevertheless, they're working on Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, and with Rita's encouragement, Dan slowly starts opening up, right? Opening up at least a level of his feelings. And the parallel between what happened to the star-crossed lovers in the play and the Mules is...
as art onto the going
There's screams, there's... I think people are being attacked. Can the rest of you hear this?
Yes.
Peter.
And I can't hear you.
What's going on? Peter, there's something wrong with where you are because we can hardly hear anything other than trucks driving through.
No, I'm here and there's no other noise that I'm aware of.
Oh, my golly. Greg, have you got Mack trucks working?
No, you won't hear any traffic from my place.
And there's no traffic from me. I'm in a sort of a double brick downstairs room. What about you, Jaqui?
Oh,
Hello?
no, I can see it's actually coming from Peter's side.
So, Peter, this is the worst I've ever known it to be. I don't know what to say here. I don't know how you can't hear that.
No, it's in the background. It's not disturbing me at all.
No, they're coming across very strongly across when Alex is talking.
Yeah, it's stopped now, so we'll keep on going. But okay,
radio.
Yeah, well, it's not very good on live radio, is it? Anyway, we're talking about the parallel of Romeo and Juliet to what's happened to the Mueller family, and naturally that presents challenges. As a matter of fact, the whole work, which is written by Kerry O'Sullivan and directed by her and Alex Thompson, and they're a couple, I believe, in real life, is challenging. And the two of them worked together on a 2019 film called St. Francis. I don't know whether any of you saw that. I think I did. But Ghostlight is this slice of life piece. And I thought the writing, the execution was sublime. It's really perceptive. It's grounded. It's completed without pretense. And it's done so in everyday settings. And the authenticity that Keith Kuffner brings to the lead role, quite astounding. He transforms into his character, which is both gruff and tender. And neither Dan nor Sharon nor Daisy have had a chance to grieve properly, and that's the whole point of this story. And then you've got Catherine Mellon Kuffner portraying Daisy, the 16-year-old, and she was 15 when she did the movie, as an intuitive bundle of pent-up energy. And the mother, played by Tara Mellon, is credible, willing to sort of lay it all on the line and try to navigate a path through what is a living nightmare. And I really enjoy Dolly de Leon as well. She's sort of, she's this no-nonsense pragmatist with a caring side. So it's a really special film, Ghostlight. It's heartfelt, it's profound, it's one to be savoured and celebrated. And I reckon a tissue or two wouldn't go astray either. Would it, Jaqui?
Oh, I just think it's a beautiful film about really deep emotions and you can't deal with it when you don't know how to deal with this sadness and tragedy, and everything just becomes repressed into anger. And, you know, they're angry with each other. They're angry with the world. They're angry with whatever's around them. And, you know, your heart just breaks for them. You can understand where they're at and how they got there. I just think it's beautifully put together. And with the concurrent story of the Romeo and Juliet play, the amateur play that he's in, not even knowing that it's actually helping him, and how he then also helps others. It's a kind of a self-help group, a therapy group, but they're all helping each other, and how, you know, this disparate group becomes so connected and important to each other. And that's about connecting with other people. It's all heart, this film, Ghostlight. It's all heart. I expected nothing when I first started seeing it. And I just felt so deeply about this that I saw it a second time and loved it just as much.
Wow. I mean, I think it's interesting as we grow more mature, shall we say, that I know amongst my friendship groups, there's a lot more value put on, well, we really value your friendship, da-di-da-di-da, those sorts of acclamations have become far more pointed and poignant as the years have gone on. Have you noticed that as well, Jaqui, in terms of, because you've got lots of friends in different sort of areas, and especially through the exercise that you do, and the value of friendship, and how, you know, loneliness is an incredibly debilitating condition, and you can feel lonely in the presence of others as well, can't you?
Oh, well, yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't think this film is going to fix anyone's issues with friendships or lack of. However, I think the outstanding thing about Ghostlight is that it feels and looks like a small film on a fairly small budget. It's not a big multiplex entertaining kind of film. It's got a quietness about it, and it kind of has an undercurrent. It goes under the radar there, and I think that makes it even more a precious film.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a surprising delight. I mean, it's one of my favourite films of this year, without any question, even though it deals with such horrible material. So, Greg, did you appreciate it?
Yes, I did. It deals with some big, serious themes there, like family, dysfunctional family relationships, suicide, grief, loss, community, art, broken dreams. But it also demonstrates how art and theatre can become a healing force. And I like the way that the parallel between the play that he takes part in, Dan takes part in, Romeo and Juliet, even though he's really old, they age up, Romeo and Juliet here, how that allows him to work through his own emotions, his own grief, and begin that catharsis that maybe starts the healing process for the family. And I like the fact that the Muir family itself is played by a real-life family. I thought it added authenticity and veracity to their dynamic and interactions, and I thought that lent itself to the emotional heft of the film as well. I thought Pitchford did a good job there, adding weight to his performance through his tense silences. He spoke so much with his silences, his looks, his expression there. And I thought the daughter was strong in a very emotionally demanding role as a rebellious Daisy. And I thought she did a fantastic job there. And I did like Dolly de Leon. I thought she was great as Rita, a strong-willed but sympathetic person there. And she also managed to capture that frustration of a serious actor who never really managed to make the breakthrough to stardom there. And there's plenty of humour throughout as well. Some low-key moments of humour, especially as they explore the quirky, idiosyncratic nature of the rest of this theatre group there and their highly strung personalities, which I thought were brought to life by a great ensemble cast as well. And I like the cinematography of Luke Dyer there. I thought that was great as well. And the production design brought the settings and that to life as well. As Jaqui said, this is a small and low-key film, but it's also emotionally honest, and it has a powerful effect on the audience.
Well, I mean, the relationship in terms of plays, theatre, and bringing you know, what that can do. I've been banging on, Peter Krause, for you to incorporate more in your life than sitting in dark rooms and very loud rooms like you are at present, and to see more theatre, because it pushes the horizon beyond what you know it to be, and you keep resisting, you know, and you also resist my overtures to take you to a football game. Stop resisting.
Well, I'm part of the resistance movement, so I won't. I won't succumb to your entreaties. But
it's so gentle, my entreaties. For Christ's sake, go along. Pardon me. I shouldn't use that language. I apologise. Go on. Okay, talk to me about Ghostlight.
All right. Wonderful film. I spoke to the filmmakers who spent a few years writing this low-key film, which is basically about theatre as therapy, and Dolly de Leon's character is about acting as a therapist for the father who comes along to be part of this amateur theatre production of Romeo and Juliet. It demonstrates how important writing is in any film, and this film is so strong because it is so well written. It doesn't need a huge script, it just needs a good story and screenplay, and this one certainly has. It's interesting when you look at the title, Ghostlight, the impression is that it's a horror film before you watch it, that it's going to be some sort of nasty sort of drama. And they explained to me that Ghostlight is the single light that is kept on in a theatre.
Yes, correct. It is when it's empty, and it's it's got both a practical and spiritual meaning. Correct. So I mean, it's a safety device so that people entering the stage aren't in danger. But some believe that theatres are haunted by spirits, and that the Ghostlight keeps them happy or wards them away. Is that what you were told?
Yes, exactly. That it has that second meaning.
Peter?
Yeah.
Peter, I'm wondering why that explanation isn't included in the film in some way. Why don't they touch on?
Yeah, it's a good question. I asked them that, and they said they wanted to keep it low-key because they wanted to communicate the value of amateur or community theatre, and that was a large audience they were pitching the film to, and so they thought that everyone who saw that, who was part of theatre, would understand the meaning of Ghostlight, and they didn't think it was important to say more about that. But it's just a point.
It's interesting because the Ghostlight symbolises that theatre people care for their theatre even when there isn't a show, and it goes back centuries, Peter, because I mean, this is quite a tradition. And during the pandemic, many theatres kept their ghost lights on as a symbol of hope that live performances would return. So, I mean, I agree, Jacqui, that I dare say a lot of people wouldn't have been familiar with that. And you know, so it makes it a very clever title, actually.
Yes, yeah. Look, it's a beautifully told story, very well acted, and I must say it was great to see Dolly de Leon as the theatre director / therapist helping along. It's just a really wonderful little film.
Yeah. So I think we're all going to be rating this extremely highly, as we should. So let's start off with you, Jacqui. Out of 10, Ghostlight, rated M, 116 minutes.
8.5, 8.5 from me out of 10.
Right. For some reason, you cut out again for a moment, but you're back. Okay, Greg King?
7 to 7.5. Yep.
Okay, not as enthusiastic. Peter?
I give it 8 out of 10.
And I give it 8.5. Jacqui, we agree. This is really not what I want to hear, but we do. I mean, we're in fierce accord. Is that what we should be saying? Something like that.
Alex.
Good on you. Yeah, you do that. That's nice. I like it. You are on J 88.88 FM. I'm trying to say the right thing, but I'm getting it wrong. And you can contribute to the station by paying for it. You can give a $54 donation that gets you membership, and it means that we can keep on going on air. We rely upon members to keep the station ticking along 24 hours a day. So go to j-air.com.au. And if you want, you can contribute. Scintillating programming, much better than ours throughout the day. Now, here we go. Let's talk about a movie about an actor I have the highest regard for, namely Kate Winslet. And it's called Lee. And it also runs for just under 2 hours, 117 minutes, and is also rated M. And I got to say, I had not heard of the star of the show here, or the person who's represented, somebody called Lee Miller. Knew nothing about her. I'm wondering, prior to seeing this movie and prior to hearing that it is about Lee Miller, any of you three had heard of Lee Miller? Peter?
No.
Greg?
No.
Hello? There's a delay.
No.
What's going on? Oh, no, I heard. And Jaqui?
Yes, there was an exhibition of her photographs at Heidi last year. I think it was last year. Fairly recently.
Did you go along and did you know who Lee Miller was when you went along? Well,
I didn't go to the exhibition, but a neighbour of mine who goes to Heidi regularly had spoken to me about it. So I knew of it.
But your introduction to Lee Miller, did you know who she was before that?
No.
Right. So and that's to me the nub of this, why this is such an extraordinary story. You've got a taciturn American who was born in 1907 and passed away 70 years later. She's about to be interviewed in her London home, and she questions why she should allow the interview to take place, and then agrees on condition that she can ask the interviewer some hard questions of her own. And I'm going to be very careful here. I'm not going to sort of say anything more about the interviewer, and obviously I've talked to you about the interviewee. So please, when you're talking about this, just don't give away the spoiler. But this is Lee Miller to a T with the interviewer. She's unapologetic, she's surly, she's determined, she's a driven individual and doesn't suffer fools gladly. And hence begins a deep dive into the world of one of the most famous war photographers of all time. Mind you, her real story didn't come to light until her son unearthed the evidence. In her younger years, she was a model. She was a muse who liked to drink, she liked to have sex, and she liked to take photographs. So she was this free spirit who enjoyed the company of like-minded friends in the south of France. Who wouldn't? And that's where she met and fell for a British art dealer and an artist called Vogue, played by Alexander Skarsgård, who was immediately besotted by her. And she went on to live with Penrose in London. She sought and eventually got a job as a photographer, later a photojournalist, for British Vogue magazine, so incredibly prestigious. And that's how she came to forge a friendship with British Vogue's editor, Audrey Withers, played by Andrea Riseborough. So we're talking about a time frame where World War II is beckoning. And Miller became Vogue's war correspondent. She was a feminist. She broke down barriers. She covered events like the London Blitz, the liberation of Paris, and concentration camps at Buchenwald and Dachau. So Lee's her warts and all tale of grit and endurance, including an experience with Hitler. Again, I'm just going to leave it at that. She's hated as a ball breaker, a drinker, a heavy smoker, who barges her way through life. The screenplays by Liz Hanna, Marion Hume and John Colley, based on Lee's son, whose name is Anthony Penrose's book, The Lives of Lee Miller. And Kate Winslet also serves as one of the film's producers. She does a really fine job getting inside Lee's skin. She plays her as this uncompromising force of nature who simply will not be tamed. And Josh O'Connor is cast as the patient interviewer, someone intent on getting to the nub of the truth. Andrea Riseborough is stoic and respectful as the British Vogue editor. And as Roland Alexander Skarsgård indulges Lee's brusque nature and simply runs with it. Another key figure in her life, Lee's life, was the Life magazine photographer Davy Sherman, to whom Andy Sandberg gives voice. Now, okay, he's noted as a comic actor, But I mean, you think about Tom Hanks, right? He was noted as a comic actor, and then he made 2 movies and won 2 Oscars that were serious roles. So it's not
Robin Williams also, who did a lot of comic things, but also very capable of serious dramatic roles. And when he did a dramatic role, he also brought a bit of a creepy side to his persona.
Totally agree. Yeah, good choice of name. So on the battlefield, you've got the 2 photographers forming this impenetrable partnership. And as the film shows it, you've got Davy Sherman admiring Lee Miller's tenacity and pluck. And the atrocities that the pair witness are quite overwhelming. Now, you've also got some rather fine actors playing smaller roles, Marion Cotillard and Naomi Merlant. They play 2 of Lee's dear friends. The cinematographer, I mean, this is really important. The cinematographer now turned director, who actually makes her narrative feature debut with Lee, is Ellen Kuras. And I reckon there's a real keen eye for detail in what is a compelling production. The focus is rightly on Kate Winslet. I mean, it's her movie. She delivers this powerful portrait of a woman of substance. I thought it was an extraordinarily strong role by her, and it's been a passion project for Winslet, and good on her for sticking with it, because sometimes, passion projects like we talked about one recently set in New Rome, which was old Rome, and that didn't work for me. But this one does. Lee is a good, strong movie. Do you not think so, Greg?
Yes, it's quite a good film. I thought that framing device of the person interviewing the elder Lee Miller was a little bit clunky, and it interrupted the narrative flow for me, I thought. But I thought Kate Winslet did a good job there. She inhabited the character.
Sorry, let me interrupt you, Greg. So when you say that was a bit clunky, how would you have liked to have seen the film done without that? Just a sort of historic...
Without that, and just give us the background that her photographs weren't found until after she died, uncovered by her son. Yeah, you didn't need that. I thought that, and it interrupted the narrative flow the way it went backwards and forwards a little bit between those 2 there. So for me, that device didn't quite work as much.
Although it's quite a popular device, I've got to say.
Yeah, I know, but when it's done well, it can work strong. But I thought Kate Winslet inhabited the character here, showed her strength, her sense of determination, even her prickly personality. She didn't suffer fools gladly. She didn't tolerate the misogyny at the time, especially when military commanders told her that they didn't want women at the front there. But she also wore emotions there, and a sense of outrage, and what her feelings, disgust at what she found in the concentration camps there as well. As a showy performance, I thought, and it will probably see her in contention for some sort of recognition come the next award season there. I agree, Andy Samberg, better known for his comic roles here. I thought he did a pretty good job here, playing it straight there. Andrew Riseborough, I thought was also good. Alexander Skarsgård and Marion Cotillard, I thought were a little bit wasted and not given as much to do there. I thought the production values were quite good, how it all moved from that sort of happiness, hedonistic attitude of the early 30s through to the blitz of London, the destruction, misery of that, and then the ruin of Europe there. And I thought the cinematographer, Haywell Edelman, gave the film a gritty surface there, the sort of darker tones, bleak colour added to the tone of the film. So, yeah, I didn't know much about her. Still don't know a lot more about it after the film, but it certainly captures a testament to the horrors of the war. She caught that there as well. So, yeah, interesting film. But I thought the direction was pretty straightforward, nothing flashy about it.
Yeah, but when you say you still don't know a lot more about it, I'm surprised you say that. Why would you not say that that you've learned a lot about her because you didn't know it beforehand? I'm a bit surprised or confused by that.
No, you didn't get a lot about her earlier life there. You got basically from the 30s onwards, when she became a photographer, you just didn't get enough of that sense beforehand.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See where all this strong femininity came from. You didn't get enough of that.
Peter, what about you?
I was very impressed by this film, I must say, and I liked the framing device of the interview because it gave also a very strong resolution, which, of course, I won't spoil. I think Kate Winslet has done a great job in pushing and producing this film, because it is a story of an under-recognised and well-regarded war correspondent and photographer, especially during World War II. Very important story. And it is beautifully shot. And Winslet really put her heart and soul into it, which I was very impressed by. I was also impressed by the locations that they use. Apart from the UK, they also shot in Croatia and Hungary, and that gave it an extra sense of authenticity to the film, which did have some budgetary problems. I mean, Kate Winslet herself had to contribute some money to the production of the film, because they had run out, and they had to find other producers and other money sources. No, this is a story that's really well told, and her photographs Lee Miller's photographs are just superb, and deserve the recognition that this film gives them, and her life, which was largely well recorded. So I was very impressed.
Yeah. I like the way that they recreated some of those iconic photographs she took. Yeah.
I think they did a pretty good job. Jaqui, did you appreciate the strong feminist sort of the issue of a brilliant photographer who transitioned her life from, if you like, frippery of some description to something of great substance, but didn't sort of get the recognition that she deserved during her lifetime, potentially?
I don't think she like the. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, now I can, but it's almost like I'm talking to you overseas and there's a gap.
Oh, well, it's lovely here in the south of France at the moment.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Yes, you're not.
The impression that Lee didn't really like the frippery of that life, lazing around pre-war, well, at least pre her involvement in the war years. She was a bit restless for more, and that was in her nature of being quite feisty and determined. And she had strong women all around her. So if there was feminism in this film, it was also in her friendships and her supporters and, her employer and that as well. I'm going to make this a draw of 2-2 between the four of us. On Greg's side, I didn't particularly like that device of the way that the film was presented and written. For me, it wasn't even only the interruption. It was, as we all us, just swimming around, not spoiling it. If I were to say what the spoiler was, it would completely ruin it. And I didn't like the way that was done. My favourite part of the film, Lee, was during the credits, when we saw the actual images that she had shot, and we had seen how she came upon those circumstances and how she dealt with it, and her professionalism in taking those photos and Davy's support as it came through. But we had to wait all the way to the credits until we saw that. I would have liked that to have been fed into the film. And I think if it's going to be a dramatisation of one person's career and life, or at least, just a segment of it, and I agree with Greg again, it was only a segment. We didn't really get the background to how she became this woman, and I would have liked that. I think for the dramatisation of her life, I would have liked a bit more actual information on where she was. And I know there were some dates and years and that, but I wanted more of that information. Otherwise, it all just became a bit of a blur as it progressed.
Wow. Okay. So, I think I'll probably be a higher score than many of you on this one. Let's start with you, Greg.
6 out of 10.
Okay. So that's a pretty average or just above average type score.
Well, there you go. Pretty average. I thought, I agree with some of the things Jaqui said there. There's some of the things that bothered me about the film a little bit there. And I'm afraid, no, it didn't. Well, you should see what Rich said about it. He only gave about 2.5, I think. But
Jim came out of this sort of saying it was a boring film. I'm sorry, I shouldn't sort of put words in his mouth, but he didn't find it particularly stimulating. But I got to say that there was lots of arguments the other way. So anyway, okay. So Jaqui.
Yes, I'd go. There was a little bit of tedium in it for me too, but as I say, I'm blaming that on not having a perfect sense, since it was a true story based on a true story. Having a perfect sense of time and place all the time. I wanted it a lot more factual. I gave it 6.5.
Okay. Okay, Peter.
I found this a very compelling biopic, which dealt with a particular aspect of her life. It's not a documentary, so I'm a little surprised at some of the reactions. And we've seen so many of these biopics where the real person is then highlighted at the end of a film. So not quite sure where the criticism here lies. But anyway, that's fine. I gave the film 8 out of 10.
And I gave it an 8 out of 10 as well. So, yeah, okay. I would highly commend it. And it's I found it very, very compelling. And I wish I'd known even more about her to this point of time. Let's move on to Memoir of a Snail. Now, I'm in awe of what Academy Award winner, well, he won it for the short Harvey Crumpet, Adam Elliot can do in the sphere of adult stop-motion animation. I mean, he's into Claymation. This is a film that's 94 minutes in duration. It runs, it's M-rated as well. And what Adam Elliot has going for him is that his storytelling is quite quirky, and yet it's accessible. And this is his second feature after Mary and Max. Took 8 years to make. I mean, I'll give you some of the statistics, and then I'll talk to you about the film. You've just got every prop, every object in this film is real. So he's basically, there's no CGI. More than 7,000 individual items were handcrafted over nearly a year. And so each of the props and the sets and the characters have been developed by a team of artists and technicians, and they use things like clay and plasticine, silicon, wire, paper and paint. And fire, for example, is made from crumpled yellow and red cellophane, tears from glycerine, water, well, that's from a mix of clear plastic and lubricant, and smoke, well, it's cotton wool, and raindrops are the bubbles from bubble wrap. So you've got 7 animators having worked 10 hours a day over more than half a year to animate frame by frame 310,000 individual movements that were needed to create this movie. And you've even got, I mean, Adam Elliot was born with a hereditary shake. He's incorporated that into this movie. Because while crafting Memoir of a Snail, he had signs throughout the studio that read Chunky Wonky. And what that meant is that every asset had to look flawed and asymmetrical, as if it was made in a great hurry or by someone who was drunk. So, to me, it's quite an extraordinary piece of filmmaking. And it's got a storyline that's engaging and left of centre. There's so much going on, so much to see. It's kind of driven me to try and see Memoir of a Snail again for a second time very soon. It's the work of real auteur, and it's got originality stamped all over it. So, I mean, it's the heartfelt story drawn from personal experiences, the tale of a loner who befriends an older woman, and her name's Grace Prudell, and she's a bit of a misfit who collects ornamental snails, and she also loves books. Now, at a young age, through adverse circumstances, she's separated from her twin brother Gilbert, who happens to be obsessed with fire. So the pair's farmed out to different families in different states, different Aussie states, and they're a long way apart. And she falls into this spiral of anxiety and despair. Hardship appears to be her lot, but hope emerges when she connects with this aging woman called Pinky. And Pinky embraces life on her own terms. She's made of the right stuff. She's gritty, she's determined. And in time, her words of wisdom will rub off on Grace, who tells her story to a humble garden snail named Sylvia. So, in all of Elliot's films, the protagonists are outsiders. So it is here. And this Memoir of a Snail is infused with light and shade. And Elliot connects to his audience by layering pathos with humour. And it reflects the darkness and joy of everyday life. So he drew on what he calls the semi-hoarding of his mum and the colourful life of a friend who happened to be a collector, and told enthralling anecdotes to inform his screenplay. So I thought the result was really extremely compelling. You never know where it's going to head, and that's a positive. In fact, it often surprises by changing direction. And he's also drawn on top-tier talent to voice the characters. Sarah Snook, she's the glue that binds it together, the voice of her. She plays the out-of-sorts Grace Prudell, opposite Cody McPhee as Gilbert, the twin. Jacqui Weaver brings attitude and resolve to Pinky, and Magda Zabansky is cast as a gay conversion therapy leader. How good is that? So as potent as is the storyline, it's the look and feel of Elliot's films that are such distinguishing features, and I thought this was quite special. Memoir of a Snail. Peter, what did you think of Claymation?
Wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I've liked all of Adam Elliott's short films, and plus Mary and Max, and of course now this one, Memoir of a Snail. It is so beautifully written, very bittersweet. It sort of looks at life and death. It looks at so many particular humane issues, and he writes so well. His stories are so compelling. And that's what I love about it. But yes, you've also elucidated the way he structures the film, his claymations, the stop motion work, and the models and so on that are constructed, including a wonderful model of Luna Park, which I thought was
yes,
wonderful.
I want to own some of this stuff and put it on my mantelpiece. It is so it's just extraordinary. He's taken claymation to a whole new level as far as I'm concerned. And I mean, 8 years to make a movie. Wow. And he used he used COVID very, very wisely, right? I mean, he did, because he sort of did all these storyboards, right? And I mean, the guy's got a different mindset, I reckon, to most other human beings. And I love that about him. Yeah, I agree, Peter. I agree.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that the film has not only won Best Film at the Annecy Animation Film Festival, but just a few days ago was Best Film overall at the London Film Festival, which is quite incredible.
Wow, that's superb. Now, Jaqui, have you seen this one?
I have seen Memoir of a Snail twice. Because loved it so much the first time. And I think I was taking notes as I was watching it. And yes. I was afraid that I missed little bits, because there's so much going on in every than I. And I wanted to really enjoy it the second time. When I say enjoy, this is not for children. There goes Peter on his motorbike.
Peter, have you left us, have you? Or you're sort of free in the wind. You're on Route 66 at the moment, are you?
No, I'm here.
Oh, golly.
So it's mostly a film that's shot in brown tones. Brown, and in fact in Canberra, the couple's favourite colour is beige, and they don't like sharp corners. It's not a children's film. And I made a list of what I thought were some or most of the issues that are covered, and it's everything from grief, pyromania, aging process, loneliness, weight gain, sexual perversion, hoarding. Well, collecting becomes hoarding, of course. Poverty, physical disfigurement, addiction, bullying, abuse, danger, homosexuality. I mean, they're the themes of this film. But what a joy it is, because of that very dry, wry humour and the little physical attributes we see going on in the characters, as well as the very quiet language that we see as well. Pinky, played by Jaqui and voiced by Jaqui Weaver, is an absolute joy, and it is worth seeing the film for the maybe 45 seconds in which we learn how she lost a part of a finger. Just to see that little skit, it's worth seeing the film. I just really loved Memoir of a Snail, which is actually a story narrated by Grace Puddle, spelt P-U-D-E-L, not as in the puddle. Grace Puddle to Sylvia the Snail. And the narration goes back and forth to her. 94 minutes is a long film for a claymation, and I thought it was just the right length for this. I probably wouldn't have needed it to be any longer, but it was perfect here. And it's all the secondary characters as well. Gilbert and Gracie's father in the wheelchair, and how he got to be in the wheelchair, and how he met their mum, and all these little backstories just sprinkled through add to this universe we're seeing in Brown, if you like.
Brown. Exactly. Yeah.
Alex, that Adam Elliot, they melt down the clay afterwards. They just let it go and reuse it, repurpose it.
Which is a pity, because I mean, it's such a shame. No?
Well, I did actually have an exhibition at Acme. I think it was after Mary Max. And I did see that, and that was absolutely wonderful. But he says, look, the models don't mean anything. In fact, a lot of them don't even have backs. You know, if you're only shooting from the front, they don't even have a back that's made up. He said, because the actual models are merely a vehicle to tell the story that you're seeing when you're in the cinema on screen. And I get that.
Yeah, look, obviously, I understand that as well. As somebody who is a collector and who appreciates this sort of stuff, I suppose, that's a selfish ideal that I've got, because, I mean, it's interesting how cartoonists...
No, but you're not tipping over to hoarding, are you, Alex? Because, this is a mental condition, it's a problem.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure that I've got you'd say I've got lots of...
Yeah.
Should I lie back in my chair and you can do the psychological evaluation? Should you do that now?
Just so long as you don't have Guggenheimers, as she said.
Guggenheimers, yeah. Yes, but no, what I was going to say is, you think about cartoonists or caricaturists or whatever, but cartoonists in particular, where you've got whole Comic-Con and all that sort of stuff, and collectibles become a real thing. People get obsessed with that sort of thing. You look at Taylor Swift and you get the bands and all that sort of stuff. People like things that they appreciate, like it could be a Star Wars toy, or it's kind of like that. And I know that's cheap commercialism, but the truth of the matter is that people hang their hats on these sorts of things. So that's part of the reason, I think Adam Elliott's movies are extraordinary. And I can't imagine what sort of... He must have been a really unusual child as well. His mind is should be bottled, because we need more...
He was I think he said he was a bit of a loner as a kid, and he got bullied. And bullying is another of the issues covered in this too.
That's true. Well, tell me, Jaqui, score out of 10, Memoir of a Snail M, rated 94 minutes. What is it for you?
9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Peter?
I absolutely loved it. Can't fault it. Love the way that Adam uses narration rather than dialogue between people, so he doesn't have to have mouth movements. I mean, there's so much of intrigue in this beautifully constructed film. 10 out of 10.
Oh, wow. And I'm giving it an 8. Look, that is fabulous. Really, really good. We're limited in our time, and we've got a lot of movies that we haven't got to. I think because not many people have seen it, but amongst this group, but I think I'll mention From Hilda With Love and save the others. From Hilda With Love is an MA-rated movie. It runs for 2 hours and 4 minutes, and it's a really harrowing World War II drama. So it sort of correlates, if you like, to Lee, and it's based on the true story of Hilda and Hans Koppe, and he was a revolutionary in Germany when Hitler was in power, and he learned Morse code to liaise with the Russians. He was, together with others, men and women, in an anti-Nazi resistance movement. The stakes were really high if they were caught, of course, and he'd already spent time in prison. She, I said Hilda and Hans Koppe, she was a conservative dental assistant who was with another bloke when Hans caught her eye and the pair fell in love. And Hilda was this really good typist and ended up working with Hans so he could master Morse code. And then in 1942, this pair and other members of what the Gestapo called the Red Orchestra were arrested and charged with treason and espionage. So the story moves back and forth from her courtship with Hans and their activities with other activists to what happens to Hilda once she has been incarcerated. And as she awaits a sentence, she reminisces about her involvement with Hans and their romance being the most beautiful summer of her life. Their fate may be sealed because the evidence against them is damning, but she must also contend with giving birth in custody in harsh conditions. And I thought Liv Lisa Fries was captivating in the lead role. She commands attention with her portrayal of humanity and courage, and with how Hilda copes in the most fraught of circumstances. And what we see is a remarkable inner strength in her characterisation. Johannes Hegemann is more gung-ho as Hans. He's tall, he's dashing, he's driven by the cause, but clearly falls very hard for Hilda. Another note in the cast is Lisa Wagner, who plays a sour-faced, by-the-rules prison nurse called Anneliese Kuhn, who over time comes to admire Hilda's kindness and quiet resolve. The writer, Lila Steiler, I thought she showed an acute awareness of the human condition in crafting another deeply, deeply affecting tale. There are no beg pardons in Andreas Dressen's Warts in All Direction, and he tells it like it is. He juxtaposes the undeniable connection between Hilda and Hans with the brutality of the Germans. So it is that the film's strong production values are the ones that come to the fore. Particularly noteworthy is that the claustrophobia associated with this single cell contrast to the freedom of camping, which is basically a key point in the sort of telling of the story. So From Hilda With Love, it's reminiscent of the themes and the impact of, remember the psychological drama, The Lives of Others, that came out about 18 years ago. This is a really distressing film that not only resonated with me while I watched the barbarism unfold, but long after I left the cinema. Peter, you've also seen it, so did you also think highly of it?
Very much so. Andreas Dresen is an important German filmmaker, and what he's done is he's looked at a resistance movement during World War II, anti-Nazi movement, a bit like the story of the White Rose. And he has done a superb job, if somewhat grim, of course, in documenting this group and their attempts to overthrow or resist, certainly, the Nazi movement. Beautifully told, and it was the opening night film at the German Film Festival in Australia. Superb film.
Yeah, really superb film. And I mean, the other two of you haven't seen it yet. Perhaps, I mean, if you get the chance. Pardon me, say again.
Yes, I have.
Oh, you have? I'm sorry, Jaqui. So what were your thoughts?
Yes, it was beautifully put together, beautifully shot. It the contrasts in the two aspects of their lives was very strong, and it certainly left a very strong impression right at the end. Was quite powerful.
Yeah, I mean, how do you see? It's a totally different take, but you've got Lee is the war photographer, and here you've got people in the heart of it, fighting the Nazi regime in their own way.
Two different sides, two different stories. In the event that no one ever wants to hear of again.
So score out of 10.
Happening again.
Yeah, score out of 10, Peter.
I love the film. 9 out of 10.
Wow, From Hilda With Love runs 124 minutes. It's rated MA. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Jaqui?
And a 7 from me.
And a 7 from you. So it didn't affect you as much as perhaps it could have. I mean, 7's still a good mark, but it's not a great mark.
Oh, probably just, the final scenes of it were the strongest part of the film for me, yes.
All right, folks. Well, Gregory King, thank you so much for your contribution. Jaqui Hammerton and Peter Krause, appreciate it too. And we will do it all again next week on First on Film and Entertainment.